Welcome to Radiant Aging, where growing older means growing stronger, healthier, and happier every day. Have you ever found yourself sitting in a quiet room, maybe sipping your coffee in the morning, and thinking, I wish I had someone to talk to today? Maybe your kids have moved away, old friends have drifted off, or your social calendar just isn't what it used to be. You're not alone in feeling that way. In fact, a lot of people over 65 quietly experience the same thing. This sense of disconnection, even when surrounded by the familiar walls of home. But here's something important. Just because you're older doesn't mean it's too late to build new friendships. Far from it. In fact, this stage of life might be one of the best times to meet people who truly get you. Who have lived, lost, laughed, and learned just like you have. Friendships at this age are different. They're deeper, more intentional, and built on shared experiences rather than just shared interests. So, if you've ever wondered, is it even possible to make real, lasting friendships after 65? The answer is a big, wholehearted yes. And in this video, we're going to talk about exactly how to make that happen. You'll learn 4 simple, natural ways to stay social, even if you're shy, introverted, or haven't made a new friend in years. No complicated programs, no forced small talk. Just real connection, in ways that feel right for you. Let's start with something simple, something that often gets overlooked. Just showing up. Sometimes the biggest step isn't finding the perfect place or saying the perfect thing. It's simply walking through the door. Think about your local community center, a small library group, or even a nearby walking club. These aren't just places, they're opportunities. When you show up consistently, even if you're not feeling particularly chatty, people begin to recognize you. A familiar face here, a warm hello there. And before you know it, conversations start to grow naturally. There was a woman named Grace I once heard about. She lost her husband in her late 60s and found herself feeling more alone than she ever had. One morning, she decided to walk down to her local senior center. Not because she was particularly excited, but because she was tired of feeling invisible. She joined a weekly puzzle group, and at first, barely said a word. But every week, she came back. And eventually, people started saving her a seat. Now, Grace says she has more friends than she's had in decades. It didn't happen overnight, but it started with that one brave step, showing up. Another beautiful way to create new connections is by sharing what you love. When you talk about the things that light you up inside, whether it's gardening, knitting, painting, birdwatching, baking, people listen differently. They see your spark. And often they'll say, "Oh, I love that too." Or, "I've always wanted to learn how to do that." Suddenly, you're not just 2 strangers. You're 2 people who care about the same thing. Let's say you love to bake. Why not bring a batch of cookies to your church, community event, or even your next doctor's appointment? You'd be surprised how quickly something as simple as a chocolate chip cookie can open up a warm, friendly conversation. Or maybe you love music. Attending a small concert or open mic night might be the perfect space to meet someone who appreciates the same rhythms you do. When you lead with what lights you up, you invite others to see the best parts of you. And that's how meaningful friendships often begin. Now, let's talk about something a bit less obvious, but equally powerful. It's the idea of being open to different kinds of people. Sometimes, we think friendship has to look a certain way. Someone the same age, the same background, with similar beliefs or hobbies. But often, the most enriching friendships are the ones that surprise us. The ones that challenge us to see life from a new angle. You might find yourself bonding with someone 20 years younger who's full of energy and curiosity. Or someone from a completely different culture who sees the world through a fresh lens. These connections can be just as meaningful, sometimes even more so, than the ones we've grown used to. The key is to approach every person you meet with curiosity, not judgment. With a willingness to listen, rather than a need to relate immediately. When you do, people notice. And they respond with openness too. So if you've ever thought, no one wants to be friends with someone my age, let me stop you right there. That simply isn't true. There are people out there, maybe even right next door, who would be lucky to have someone like you in their life. Someone who's wise, funny, thoughtful, and has stories to share. Friendship isn't just about filling your calendar. It's about feeding your soul. About knowing there's someone out there who thinks of you, who asks how your day was, who makes you feel seen. And after 65, that kind of connection isn't just possible. It's deeply needed. Not just for your happiness, but for your health too. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Asking for help can actually be one of the most powerful ways to build connection. That might sound backwards, right? We're taught all our lives to be independent, strong, self-sufficient. And of course, those qualities are important. But the truth is, people like to feel needed. When you ask someone for advice, or even a small favor, it sends a quiet but powerful message. I trust you. I value your opinion. I want to hear what you think. It doesn't have to be anything big. Asking your neighbor if they know a good plumber. Asking someone at your community center if they've read a certain book you're interested in. Even just saying, "Hey, I saw you working on your garden. What kind of flowers are those?" These little moments can be the start of something much bigger. Because when someone helps you, they begin to feel invested in your life. And before long, you're not just asking for help. You're sharing laughs, stories, even memories. There was a gentleman I met named Harold who just moved into a new apartment complex after his wife passed away. He didn't know anyone and wasn't sure how to break the ice. One day, he knocked on his neighbor's door and asked if she knew how to work the washing machine in the shared laundry room. That question led to a 10-minute chat. The next time he saw her, she waved and invited him to a small game night. Now they play cards every Tuesday, along with a few other neighbors who've joined in. It all started with one question, one moment of reaching out. Another wonderful way to make new friends after 65 is to volunteer your time. If there's one thing this world always needs, it's kindness. And at this stage of life, you've got something truly valuable to offer. Your experience, your patience, your heart. Whether it's reading to kids at a local school, helping at an animal shelter, or organizing food drives, volunteering connects you to people who are already coming from a place of giving. There's something magical that happens when you work alongside others toward a shared purpose. You're not forced to make small talk. You're just there, side by side, doing something meaningful. And in that space, friendships tend to bloom without pressure. You laugh over little things. You start looking forward to seeing the same faces each week. You feel like part of something bigger than yourself. It doesn't even have to be something formal. Maybe you're great with fixing things. Offering to help someone in your building with a squeaky door or hanging a picture frame could be the beginning of a connection. Or maybe you're good with kids. Helping your neighbor with her grandchild one afternoon can spark a friendship that grows over time. The key is this. When you give from the heart, people feel that. And often, they give back in the form of trust, gratitude, and companionship. Of course, it's worth acknowledging that sometimes the hardest part isn't knowing what to do. It's getting past that voice in your head that says, "It's too late." That little whisper that says, "People already have their friends." Or, "Why would anyone want to get close to someone my age?" But I want to gently challenge that voice today. Because that's not the truth. The truth is, you have more to offer now than you ever have before. You've lived. You've learned. And you have stories that nobody else can tell quite the way you do. Don't underestimate the power of simply showing up with a smile, offering a kind word, or asking someone how their day is going. Those small moments, they add up. And in time, they weave the kind of bond that can lift you on your hardest days and make your good days even sweeter. Also, let's not forget the role technology can play here. Yes, it can feel a little intimidating if you're not used to it. But even something as simple as joining a Facebook group for local retirees or hobbyists can open up doors. There are online book clubs, gardening communities, travel discussion groups, even support groups for widows and widowers. These are real people, having real conversations. You might be surprised how quickly a connection formed online can turn into a phone call, a meetup, or even a lifelong friendship. You don't have to be a tech wizard to benefit from it. Just a willingness to try. Even learning how to send a message or join a virtual meeting can make a big difference. Because the truth is, the world has changed. But the need for connection, that's as strong as ever. And the beautiful thing is, there are people out there looking for connection just like you are. They just haven't met you yet. You have a unique light that deserves to be seen. A sense of humor that someone would love to laugh with. A heart that's ready to give and receive friendship. No matter where you live, what your past looks like, or how long it's been since you made a new friend, today is a brand new chance to connect. And here's something you may not hear often enough. It's okay to start small. A lot of people think making new friends means jumping headfirst into big social events, joining clubs, or striking up conversations with strangers every time you go out. But sometimes, the most lasting friendships begin with the simplest of gestures. A smile at the grocery store, a compliment at the bus stop, or a short conversation with someone you see regularly at the park. These little interactions are like planting seeds. Maybe they don't turn into anything right away, but over time, they add up. One day, you find yourself saying more than just, "Hi." And before long, you're sitting next to each other on a bench, chatting about the weather, or sharing a story from your past. There's no rush, no deadline. Just real, human connection happening in its own time. A woman named Linda once shared that after her husband passed, she felt invisible. Like the world had just moved on and forgotten her. But she decided to change one small thing. Every time she went out, she made it a goal to say something kind to one person. It didn't matter if it was a store clerk, someone at the pharmacy, or a stranger walking their dog. At first, it felt awkward. But after a while, those short exchanges turned into friendly waves, and then short chats, and eventually, coffee dates. All from one tiny habit. Speaking first, from the heart. It reminds us that building connection doesn't have to come with a big, flashy entrance. Sometimes, it's the quiet warmth you bring to a room, the way you genuinely listen when someone talks, or how you remember a name or ask a thoughtful question that sets the foundation for something meaningful. Another beautiful way to create friendships in your 60s, 70s, and beyond is to go back to something you've always loved, or something you've always wanted to try. Think about that hobby or interest you may have put on the back burner while raising kids, working, or managing life's responsibilities. Maybe it was painting, dancing, playing an instrument, or even writing poetry. Maybe you've always wanted to try Tai Chi, birdwatching, or learning a new language. Now is the perfect time to rediscover what brings you joy. Why does this matter when it comes to friendship? Because when you're doing something you genuinely enjoy, your face lights up, your energy shifts, and you tend to attract people who are drawn to that same spark. You don't have to pretend or try too hard, because you're already in a space that makes you feel alive. That kind of energy is magnetic. And the best part, when you connect with someone over a shared passion, you skip the awkwardness and get right to something meaningful. Joining a local class or group can be a wonderful step. But even if there's nothing nearby, There are online communities and virtual meetups where you can connect with people from all over the world who love the same things you do. Whether you're chatting in a forum, showing off your latest knitting project, or joining a Zoom class for beginners yoga, you're putting yourself in a space where connection is natural, not forced. And let's not forget the power of reconnecting with people from your past. Sometimes, we lose touch with old friends, not because of any falling out, but just because life got busy. If someone pops into your mind, maybe from high school, your early career, or even an old neighborhood, take it as a sign. Look them up. Give them a call. Write a note. People are often more open to reconnecting than we expect, especially at this stage of life. One man I spoke to, Richard, decided to reach out to his old army buddy after 40 years. He had no idea if he'd remember him, or even if he was still alive. But he made the call anyway. Not only did his friend remember him, but they ended up meeting for lunch the following week, and now they talk every Sunday without fail. It's never too late to pick up where you left off. You see, after 65, friendships take on a different meaning. They're not about popularity or impressing others. They're about depth, honesty, and being seen for who you really are. And that's a beautiful thing. There's a kind of freedom in this chapter of life. You get to choose the people who make you feel good, who make you laugh, and who listen when you need to talk. You don't have to chase anyone's approval anymore. You just have to open the door and let the right people in. At the heart of it all, staying social after 65 isn't just about filling time or avoiding loneliness. It's about staying alive in every sense of the word. When we connect with others, we feel seen, heard, and valued. And that kind of connection isn't just nice to have, it's vital. Studies have shown again and again that people with strong social ties live longer, stay sharper mentally, and experience fewer health problems. But beyond the research, it just feels good to know someone cares that you exist. So even if your calendar looks a little empty right now, don't let that discourage you. You don't need a dozen friends or a packed social life to feel fulfilled. Even one genuine connection can change everything. And that connection can start today, with a phone call, a shared laugh, or simply showing up somewhere new with an open heart. One of the most beautiful things about this stage of life is the freedom to choose your circle more intentionally. You get to focus on quality over quantity. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who make you smile, and who accept you exactly as you are. No pretenses, no pressure. Just real people sharing real moments. Maybe you've felt like you've lost some of your social circle over the years. Maybe people have moved, drifted away, or passed on. That's real. That hurts. But it's not the end of your story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter. And this chapter is still unwritten, still full of possibility. Think about the kind of friend you want to be. Are you someone who listens without judgment? Someone who checks in just because? Someone who shows up when it matters? When you lead with that energy, you tend to attract it right back. People notice. They remember kindness. They remember feeling safe around you. And those moments are what build the foundation for friendship that lasts. And don't forget to bring joy into the process. Making friends isn't a chore. It's an adventure. It's about laughing together, discovering new things, and sharing the kind of stories that only come with time and experience. Whether it's reminiscing about your favorite music from the 60s, sharing a secret recipe, or swapping silly jokes over coffee, these little moments add up. They make life richer. Now maybe you're thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm shy, or I haven't made a new friend in years. That's okay. Many people feel the same way. But the truth is, every friend you've ever had was once a stranger. Every relationship started with that first brave step. And you can take that step again. this time with more wisdom, more patience, and more love to give than ever before. If no one's told you this recently, let me be the one to say it. You are worthy of connection. You have stories worth sharing, wisdom worth hearing, and a presence that makes a difference. Whether you're funny, thoughtful, creative, quiet, or a mix of it all, you are someone else is hoping to meet. And they might be just as nervous, just as hopeful, and just as ready as you are. So why not give it a try? Say hello, start the conversation, show up. Open your world to new possibilities. You never know who you'll meet, or how much they'll need you in their life, too. If any part of today's video spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Share your story in the comments below. Maybe a friendship you've built recently, or a challenge you've faced when trying to stay social. This is a space where you can be heard. And who knows? Maybe your story will inspire someone else to take that first step, too. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more tips, stories, and encouragement designed just for you. We're building a community here, and you're a big part of it. So here's to meaningful connections, new beginnings, and the joy of friendship at any age. You're never too old, never too late, and never alone in wanting to be part of something real. The best friendships might still be ahead. Thanks for spending your time with me today. I'm glad you're here. Truly. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay open, and keep showing up. Your people are out there, and they're looking for you, too.